Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like,
what an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around. And I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 275. We are here live with my friend Joel Buhr from First Direct. And your customers are telling you everything. Are you listening? We're going to pay the bills and we're going to get at it with Joel. So tune in. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? Best compliment I ever got on this book was from my dear friend Doug Stewart, who said, take the word mattress and furniture, and it's just a great marketing and business book. If you want a sales book, and I know Sell a Million sounds a lot like a sales book, grab my book, not Sell a Million, Miles and Miles of Retail Selling Greatness. I got to tell you a little story about this book. We figured out that I traveled over 2 million miles by car and sat at the foot of some of the best retailers in the country. Really, really blessed to have an opportunity to work with a lot of the people that I worked with. And after I finished writing the book, I asked myself, what's changed? What do we need to do to make this even better? So I brought in a few of my friends, Jeff Giannakovo, Chris Tahaney, Brent Batterman, Justin Trumbo, Mark Klingenberg, Randy Thompson, the list goes on and on. And what we have here is a book that for less than $20, you have 3 years worth of weekly sales meetings. So if you are a sales manager or a store owner and you need to do weekly sales meetings, grab that book. Within the first few pages, your salespeople will be selling more. It's not a how to buy the number sales book. It is a lot of information, a lot of mindset stuff, a lot of very specific techniques that will help you close more sales and make more profit. It can fit into any sales system. As a matter of fact, we analyze several sales systems in the book and offer some suggestions for additional sales systems that might work in your store. So grab that book, guys. And without further ado, let me say thank you to Chris Tahaney for writing a book about our mattress customers. And if you have an RSA or a store, or you're a store owner and you are the RSA, and something has happened positive as a result of your customer's purchase, write it up, send it to mattressrsastories@gmail.com. Again, that's mattressrsastories@gmail.com. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Chris will polish it up for you. He'll send it back to you for your final approval. This is a great way to elevate our industry and get some real success stories out there that need to be heard. So please support Chris on this effort to bring this book to life. And I think your RSAs will get a big kick out of being in the book. So don't sleep on this. This is something that's important for our industry. without a further ado, let me thank Greg and Steve for supporting and sponsoring our show. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry, join our free Mattress Industry Network group. It's on Facebook. There's absolutely no fee, no money, no hidden agenda. It's a great place to network. It's a great place to learn everything you need to learn about winning in the mattress business today. And as you all know, it's changing by the minute. So join the Mattress Industry Network group and participate. You will find lots and lots of benefits for you, for yourself. If you're super serious about the mattress business and you know there's a better way, you owe it to yourself to join the Mattress Retailer Toolkit. Jeff Giannacovo and Mike Capuzzi do a great job with this group. It is it's a group that delivers thousands and thousands of dollars of value every month. And I pay less than $100 and you will too. So it doesn't matter if you're a store owner. It doesn't matter if you own one store or 10 stores. It doesn't matter if you're a furniture retailer who's serious about the mattress industry. Doesn't matter if you are an industry influencer or an industry leader or a factory rep. You should all be in this group and learn what's going on, how we can improve our stores and really create a business that we run instead of a business that runs us. So hit that QR code right there and join MRT right now. And without a further ado, Joel, thank you for being on the show, brother.
Thanks for having me.
No, super happy to have you here. You sent me a link and we will get into that in a little bit that I found fascinating. And I said, I absolutely have to get Joel on the show. So, there's a lot of things that small stores who don't necessarily have an extensive marketing education or background sometimes get wrong. And one of those things is that little circle around their store that they draw. Why is that costing retailers, consumers?
Well, I mean, a lot of times when we talk with retailers, they're doing that circle, maybe on Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Google ads, whatever the case may be. They're like, yeah, 15 miles. It's where my customers are at. And the reality is a lot of the markets, 15 miles might be too far, or it might not be far enough, or the pattern of just foot traffic to like a retail location is not always a circle. It's a very odd, unique shape to the footprint of what the traffic flow is, where the demographics live, where the profiles live. And so that's where that falls apart. I mean, they're going to get some of those people, but it's a lot of wasted advertising.
Yeah, in Cleveland, there's East Side and West Side.
Yep.
East Siders don't cross over into the West Side, and West Side just as soon stay out of the East Side. And sometimes there are spirited discussions about this.
Yeah.
And, just doing a simple circle that includes the East Side, if you're on the far West Side, is not going to help you in Cleveland, Ohio. I can assure you of that. So I love what you're saying there. And, one of the things that is right below the title of your company, First Direct, is solutions that fit. And
that was for me. When I put that there, that was for me. There is
no to remind you, right?
Yeah. This is 100%.
Yeah. This is my calling and this is what I'm trying to deliver. And the reality is no two stores are exactly the same. I've had retailers, Joel, who have had a wipeout across the street, and they just literally go across the street or even next door sometimes. And all of a sudden they have enormous success. Location is so important. Uniqueness in the marketplace is so important. And it really, everything matters. There's a lot of little details that most store owners don't have the bandwidth or even the awareness to deal with. So let's talk about the buyer DNA. What does it mean and why does it matter?
Well, the buyer DNA, we've done a lot of analysis over the years, and this is kind of where we've formulated this process where we're literally developing that DNA of what this retailer's buyer actually is. We've done this for some really big chains, all the way from 600 plus locations to a couple mom and pop locations basically. But what's the profile like in the mattress and furniture space? The profile, even if it's this store is carrying the same product as this store, that profile or that DNA of customer literally changes. And in fact, there might be a few different profiles that lift out. We've seen it in cases where there's like 5 or 6 profiles that develop out of a retailer sold data. And we've seen others where it's just one massive profile that connects. But that DNA is made up of hundreds of demographic, psychographic, and lifestyle details about that consumer, about the household, and about the neighborhood. So when you start to build that picture, you can essentially build a blueprint that now you can say, hey, the blueprint of what fits in my best profile bucket where I get 70% of my business or the majority of the business. Hey, what's that bucket look like? Here's my current customers. And then where do I find more people just like them? Because I'm already creating the pattern of selling to these people, right?
Yeah.
Let's focus the marketing dollars, where it matters. And this kind of, it sounds like, hey, this is just how everybody should be doing marketing. But we look at it like when we work with a retailer, I always tell my team, that's them and their team's blood, sweat, and tears, the money they give us and where they tell us to spend it, or where they want to know where to spend it. So we need to be on top of exactly who should be seeing the advertising. See, then we start working with numbers, that DNA is right. We start working with what's the messaging. And you mentioned something I like there is like, it's not just, I think you alluded to, it's not just one thing. There are so many little pieces that really go into marketing.
There are, but there was one huge thing that you said, and you said it so casually. I just want to take a second to unpack it a little bit. You said the retailer's data, not your data, the retailer's data.
Right.
And that is so key and so important. And that is where most marketing campaigns fail immediately. Trying to fit a retailer into a template that you have that you might be comfortable with might be great for you, but it's terrible for your retailer. And the fact that you are using their very own data to come to a place of understanding who their customer is, where are they, what other places do they show up in, and how can we get to more of them in a cost efficient way? So thank you for that focus, because our store owners right now, they're having a tough time getting door swings. I don't have to tell you, Joel, it's about as tough as I've seen it. There's plenty of business out there. It's just not easy. And no one can afford to throw away marketing dollars by not targeting the proper customer, your very own customers. So thank you for that. Are there any frameworks, Joel, that you find useful when you're working with a store and you're trying to, better target their ad dollars?
As far as when you say framework, are you referring to like the strategy or the process, or what do you mean when you say that? Kind of, because the starting point where we always go through with a retailer first is the foundational fundamentals. It's their website, it's their Google presence, Facebook, social presence, how they follow up, what's their current process. You mentioned some great pillars in the industry that help retailers with sales training. What's their sales training? Those are all things that we care about as a marketing company that this retailer is doing. Are they implementing processes? Because, now if we do our job, I want that stuff to close, right? So the framework, I tell clients sometimes it's like peeling back an onion. We're going to fix this, then we're going to fix this, and then go after this. And what we're trying to do is basically get them steering the right direction of, you got to have these pillars in place. Because when we look at a phase of a brand becoming known, there's the attraction phase, right? There's an engagement phase, there's a conversion stage, and a retention stage, right? So attraction is, do you even make your brand attractable? Is your website even good? Do people even like you? Or are you kind of like a bad dude? Maybe.
Or do that.
Yeah, either one. So, I tell clients sometimes it's like if they're married or whatever, it's like that. It's that first date. Did you comb your hair? Did you smell good? Something like that. Like that's the attraction stage, and that's all the different elements like website and everything else go into that. But then the conversion stage is, how do you convert when they get to a certain point? What do you have set up? Do you have automation set up? So that's where our platform First Direct 360 comes into play. It can help with the SMS, the retarget, the automations to retarget. It's got the CRM, the pipeline, all of that kind of stuff to do the follow up. And then also too on the engagement, going back to like step 2 on engagement, it's like, do you actually put into play the different engagement items at the different stages of the buying cycle? All too often what we see is retailers will focus in on just that tail end of the buying cycle. So right when people are making decisions. And so that's why they see Google working really well, because that's the tail end of the decision. This person finally says, hey, I'm going to go pull the trigger, and they search for whatever retailer, and that's where Google gets that attribution. However, a lot of retailers are missing all of the engagement opportunities they have when that consumer is in the decision and research mode. All too often, they don't want to spend money there. And that's where we steer clients right away. It's like, you got to spend money there. It doesn't cost a lot, but you got to spend money there. Yep. And realize your marketing touches when we're on our audience aren't wasted. So that's where, our whole strategy of really focusing on the data is a critical component, because we want them to be able to see how that story comes together. Like I was talking with a mutual acquaintance, and we were reviewing some of the stats on his campaign, and he made the comment. He's like, Joel, you're probably going to tell me that direct mail is something we should do more of. I don't think it works, but you're probably going to tell me something different. And we analyzed over 373 of their transactions. We looked at the direct mail touches we have done for them, the campaigns. We looked at the digital touches. And here's the crazy thing, and this is the beauty of, and the really exciting stuff when all this stuff comes together, is when there was no observed marketing touch, average ticket was like $3,100. And when there was an observed digital touch, it went up by almost $1,000. When there was an observed direct mail and digital touch, it went over $2,000 higher, like $5,200 per average ticket. So it pays for itself. It doesn't always happen right away. We've had some retailers too. They're like, I just had a customer come in for this sale in February, and they were still holding the Black Friday piece that we mailed them.
Wow.
And this touches on kind of like what you mentioned earlier too, is like, the market is tough. We need door swings. The retailers need door swings. Consumers in different areas of the country are going to have different confidence levels, different comfort of where they think things are going. So that's when we start to analyze a client's point of sale data, and we stitch that back to what we've been doing marketing wise, we start to layer in all of that data to take that into account. So that way they can say, hey, let's get a real picture here. The marketing's going, but consumer sentiment is like at an all-time low in this area of the country. It is going to be harder. You're going to have to step it up in these other areas.
Yep.
Right. And that's,
Yep.
you know, I'm trying to basically help the retailer see there's other factors at play here. We can execute marketing, put you out there, get you on TV, everything else like that. Understand every swing, you know, as it always does, has a higher value that you got to do it right. You know, it's so our approach is usually it's trying to get all the way from end to end. That's the framework.
So attraction, engagement, conversion. What's after conversion? Retention?
Yeah, retention.
Yep.
Yeah. Just because you sold them something doesn't mean you stop marketing to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
There's
how many times have you referred a product and said, hey, you got to go see this guy? Right? That's retention.
Yep. And it doesn't happen the first time.
No.
A lot of times, especially in furniture stores where you have those correlate bedroom groups, and a lot of times they start off with a headboard and a dresser, but
right.
There's chests, there's nightstands, there's all kinds of things that you can add to that lingerie chest down the road if it's a girls group. Lots and lots of things. And you know, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth from 82 to 91, I would simply call those customers up. I didn't think of actually mailing them something, which I should have been doing. And the interesting thing is I was lucky enough that I worked for a good enough retailer that they said, you know what, we got your 8-page circular and we saw that our group was on sale. So thank you for calling us and letting us know. And so, you know, sometimes we get too cute for our own good, Joel, as retailers, and we want everything to be on automatic pilot, but sometimes you just got to pick up the phone.
Yep.
You just got to pick up the phone.
I'm a big believer in that. I'm like, if the door swings are down, what are your RSAs doing? Like they need to pick up the phone and create a reason that even somebody that just bought it last week, hey, we got these new sheets in from Caraloha, from Dream Fit, whatever. You got to check it out. Yep. I thought of you.
Yep.
You know,
100%. So you start with a website, you go to the social media, and you kind of look at their process. And, you know, one of the things that I found fascinating was an average ticket that starts at 3,100, that goes to 4,100. That when you add direct mail goes to 5,200. That's fascinating. And Joel, I don't know why more people don't know this, but you can target, you know, in the early 80s, when we thought about direct mail, we thought about blanketed areas and zip codes. But today you can target a mail carrier route.
Yeah.
You could target a specific neighborhood. The targeting that's available with direct mail today is so far superior than it's ever been in the past. So if you think it's just machine gun fire, it's not. It can actually be sniper.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Especially some of the advancements we've put into place in the last couple of years, even in the last couple of months. We're getting as granular as where we look at, again, that sold data, look at the buyer DNA, create that DNA, and then we go find exactly the people like, you know, so now we're scoring those people too with how closely they match to your main customers, your top customers. Now, the ones that you want more of, where the transactions are high, you know, the tickets are high, you know, and then we're identifying, hey, what are the households in the market that look just like them? And so it's not just even the direct mail. So once we have that where they live, we can geoframe and do a digital approach, like for CTV, for display ads, way outside of Meta and Google. We usually treat Meta and Google kind of as like a secondary retarget opportunity. But we can get more laser targeted, like with display and TV, and of course the direct mail. Once we get that DNA and really make sure that the message, your ad dollars are all being focused like right on top of that consumer. We want them to feel like you're just everywhere and you got $1 million to spend on advertising, you know, and you're the best. So go visit you. That's, you know, with data, you can do it. The data doesn't lie.
That's awesome. Memorial Day is right around the corner, my friend.
Yeah.
What do most stores get wrong?
Oh, they wait too long to plan it. You know, that's the simple thing there too. Or they feel like maybe last year or the year before didn't work, you know, that event or, you know, something like that didn't work well. So they're like, hey, I'm not going to do it this time. Right. But you know, that's the other thing too. There's your major events that, you know, every mattress retailer should do something on. And there's also a lot of other reasons that you can create in that plan to basically fill in those gaps, right?
Yep.
What are the things in between those major events that you can get the consumers excited to come visit you? And that's where they get it wrong. They go hot, cold on their marketing, and they don't create that consistent, steady beat. That's really going to help them to grab market share.
This is kind of a strange question, but it's just kind of just came into my head, Joel. You know, when you look at who you have great success with as a retailer,
Yeah.
versus where you may not have as much success, do you see a correlation between the store's outreach to the community? The engagement that they have established for many years with the community, do you see that as adding to their success?
100%. If a lot of times we won't even take on a client, no matter how much they want to spend, we won't take them on if they're not doing that, because it's a critical component. You know, we're trying to create that full feel and picture for the consumer, and you can't do it if you're not involved in the community. So you got to look for those unique opportunities that really show that you're a human being as well, and that your organization cares. And so now that builds trust. If you go do that, that builds trust. And then when you do a targeted strategy of, you know, to build on top of that, the trust factor goes up. And the more people trust, the more they're going to be willing to spend with you. It's, you know, the retailer we mentioned earlier with the ticket range from 32 to 52, that retailer does a fantastic job in their community. They're actively involved. They follow up. They're thorough, right? Yeah.
Anthony Campos has a question. At what level should you do CCTV?
If your store is open, you should do CTV. Simple put. It doesn't cost a lot to do it. Do it right. You know, the strategy we try to focus on is that's all driven. Our TV is driven by geoframing, literal geoframing. So, you know, the same household that we're going to send a postcard to, we can make sure they're also getting hit with CTV and with display. That TV, you got to have the right expectations for it too. Again, there's no button to push, right? You got to think about, well, what am I asking them to do right now? Are they being asked to call a number, come to our store, scan a QR code, go to the website? Which one is it? And don't layer in too much, but have a good reason and consistency there. And so when you do that, right, now you start to basically build that aware. What we oftentimes bring to the retailer's focus here is, okay, hey, here's all the TV commercials we ran, right? Here's the TV that's running right here. And we put a pixel on their website. And because we're using data at both ends, we're able to say, hey, this person that saw your CTV commercial, we now can actually see they made it to the website as well. So now we know TV's working. Now if they die on the website, Well, we need to spend some time on the website because obviously they're probably going to go to the main page. Maybe whatever they landed there is kind of inconsistent with what you put in, what you said needed to go into the TV commercial, right? So that's how you start to dissect and break things down and make changes is you do that.
Yeah. Ideally, I'm going to live by my rule. David Grange asks, GeoFrame, GeoTarget, CTV is a no-brained and better reach with targeting. That's a statement, not a question. Planning is key. Plan your whole year in November, December prior, then adjust when and if needed. Target. David, I couldn't agree more. I'm going to get Joel's thoughts on your comment.
No, I think that's where my background is from the 90s. I started in the data side of the marketing. So data is a big thing to me. We process, for example, well over 500 million rows of data on a monthly basis here at First Direct. We do a lot of analysis and data, installation and those types of things. So that's why it's at the core of what we do when we work with the retailers. But if you're not targeting, there's times where you do the bigger targeting, like saturation on a carrier route, but then there's the other times where you needed to have that really granular targeting, and it gets you in. But if you're not using data to do that, you're just wasting money in marketing.
My favorite question: how is AI actually helping retailers?
Oh, yeah. So, I think AI, a lot of people out there are using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, in that regard. It gets the ideas going. The ideas. Mark Kensley is really big on AI courses and retailers using AI, which is, I think it's fun. It is a critical, fundamental piece that every retailer should be implementing. They shouldn't be running away from it because, just in a productivity standpoint, it's a 40x multiplier for your sales associates, for your strategy planning and all those types of things. But of course, double check everything, make sure it works. But from an AI standpoint, we're using AI heavily, very heavily. That's the reason why we're actually building BrandRelay. It's an AI platform designed specifically for the mattress and furniture retailers. Specifically, it's learning on that. So it's if you're not using AI to sharpen your pencil, so to speak, on how you're approaching things from marketing to operations, you're gonna get left in the wayside. Don't think that it's a threat to your business. It's a compliment.
So how did you go from using AI to help you do more to actually fully embracing it and making it like part of your structure?
Oh, well, you got to, for us, we started with our whole team. Like, I require them to use AI. I require them to validate it. I still want them to do their job, but I want AI used because what I don't want to hear is, well, I don't know the answer to this. Well, with AI, you got a research tool right there. It can answer many things really, really fast. It can take data that you already have, like even from your POS data or from Google Analytics, you can dump it in there and say, help me understand this. So that there's no reason why a retailer can't start to understand more of what's just simply going on. And if you need it simplified down, tell it to simplify it down for you. So, write this for a fifth grader. I don't know, something. But for us, AI is a requirement. I want to go faster. I want to make sure we're not just simply pushing out AI and that's it. We got to put the human touch on it. But I look at it from my team. It speeds us up, and frankly, AI tools cost me way less than more employees. So, we're spending thousands of dollars a month on AI. and we're gonna, First Direct itself, we're gonna make hundreds of thousands of dollars, of investments in our own infrastructure to build upon that. And so that's what the whole our whole focus is on BrandRelay. Like, I wanted to take everything that we're doing, let's add AI, but let's build it around the industry and actually build it to work for the industry. And that's, people can go play with it if they wanted to, chat with Aria. It's in beta. So if Aria gives you, gets lost, that's okay. Just let us know. We're working with Aria. So, you got to put AI as part of it. But understand AI will make mistakes. Understand if you're having AI build your website, there's key things it does forget. It does forget about SEO sometimes. It does forget about even helping it itself be ranked for the AI engines. So, you just got to look for those things. It's checks and balances.
Yep. At-home furniture mattress. Get friendly with AI as a tool for your toolbox, or get left in the dust. I agree 100%. Very well said.
Absolutely.
Anyone watching right now between 12 and 1 Eastern Standard Time, we're live. So if you got questions, ask while we have Joel on the show right now. So Joel, I hate to broadside you with this, but I have two dealers who are dear personal friends, and I don't have their permission to use their names, but you probably already know who they are. They've worked with other companies in the past, and they have told me that you go into more depth and more detail than they ever in their wildest dreams expected. And they are incredibly happy with the results that they've gotten. Both have said they're spending less money and they're getting better quality traffic and making more money as a result. So, thank you, Joel.
I love to hear that.
Thank you, Joel, for what you do for the industry. And, you've been working with retailers for 20 years. This isn't something new for you, right?
No, it's not. So no. Actually, next month, First Direct will be 21 years old. It will be our anniversary on May 11th. So we've been, and before that, I worked for many years. My time working with retailers and the data side is approaching 30 years. So it's not like I'm coming fresh out of college with, green, I'm not green to this, basically, long story short. But it's, we're taking everything that, even from the beginning of First Direct, what we were doing for retailers, that's where when we first started, one of our first clients was a really big, over 600 locations and franchise. And we blew them up. We gave them insights into who their customers were that they didn't even know before. And so we're just taking the same principles, expanding that across the channels we can use today, display, TV, and all of those things. I always tell clients too, it's like really nothing's changed at the end of the day. We still market to people. We just have different tools in our toolbox to use. We got to learn where's the best place for our business to make noise. But at the end of the day, it's a people to people business, no matter what we're doing. Even my business is people to people. I don't get anywhere unless I go work with people. Right. So it's to me, I look at it as very, very simple, logical stuff. So however, I'm glad to hear that, folks that you talk to that we work with as well, they're ecstatic with what we're doing. And I already know it's kicking butt for them. So, and I got the stats and the data to prove it.
At-home furniture mattress asks, what would you suggest for a retailer having success with Meta and Google ads as a next step? increase ad spend in those platforms, branch out to other platforms, both?
Well,
I'm going to answer it for him, and I'm going to say it
go for it.
depends. But you go ahead. You go ahead, Joel. You're the expert.
Well, obviously, like I even had this conversation with a new client that just they're not using us for all their marketing services yet. They're going to, but they jumped on our First Direct 360 platform, and they were telling us, "Hey, our Google ads that they're doing." I'm like, "Don't stop it." So my advice is always like, those things are working. That's great. Like, keep those plates spinning. And if they're working that well, now you should be able to then say, all right, now let's invest further. Let's go further. The starting point is, instead of increasing ad spend, because you can actually reach a threshold, essentially, like in a market, like spending more won't change it at some point. But maybe it's better targeting. It really is what it comes down to. So that's where what we typically start with is, I want to get my hands on sold data, sold date, sold amount, name, address, city, state, zip. We can analyze that, see what the people look like. And now we can change. Maybe we learn about this profile, and this profile, those DNA in your audience. Now we can learn how to maybe talk to them better, present them different offers. Don't just one size fits all offer across your audiences. So now you can get better targeting for any of the cold outreach that you're doing. Your Google ads, if you're using that for display, again, you can realize that, hey, you have a few different profiles that you need to talk to. And so you may change those strategies up, change those ads up, and that enhances what you're currently doing. Then you can just simply stack on top of that. So things like direct mail and things like CTV display, it's just logical progression. You got to understand your customers better. That's what it comes down to. You got to see what they look like.
Going back to Memorial Day, most customers, most store owners wait too long, probably don't spend enough time planning. At this point in time, is there any one particular thing that you would suggest that they do, or is it too late for Memorial Day?
The easy, we're about 4 or 5 weeks away. The easy thing to focus on, I think, is first of all, digital is always easier and quicker to launch. Making some quick changes to your website, always easy to do. Much quicker turnaround. If you're trying to go with a full approach for Memorial Day, direct mail has got to be decided on now. It just simply has to. And then everything else can fit in after that and complement. So if you haven't made the plan, make the plan. And maybe this year's Memorial Day, you're going to do a better plan than you did last year. Maybe it was nothing last year, but get a plan in place right away. And, my team's here to help. We're happy to assist in that way, for ideas. You can even chat with Aria, and Aria will give you ideas. That's on, if they want to chat with Aria, it's actually on BrandRelay.ai. Little chat widget down in the corner. Again, Aria is going to make some mistakes. We're rapidly in behind the scenes development. You got to put the plan together and got to get going. Quit delaying. It's going to ask you for some info, by the way. That way we don't let it get abused. Look at that. We got Chris there. There we go. So what's kind of cool, what Aria is actually doing in the background, this is something I'm really excited about. And we hope to really, some of our existing marketing service clients are going to be some of the first ones to be able to use this in the active clients. Like, so those clients you mentioned that love us, right? They're going to get first jump onto this, really. But what Aria is actually doing here, as Chris is chatting with it, it's getting some foundational pieces of information, website, zip code. And then, it's asking, well, hey, now this is where we're asking for some information. So Chris may want to block off, anything personal he doesn't want to have shared out to the whatever. But So it's, again, still in beta. What Aria is doing actually behind the scenes is it'll take all this information, query out our consumer data set, hundreds of demographics, pull in things like census data, HUD data, FRED data, workforce data, consumer sentiment. It'll take their website, start analyzing keywords and rankings where they're at right now. And so again, what we're trying to do here with BrandRelay is bring everything that we're already doing for our managed marketing service clients to a much more friendly platform where they can better understand it, see it, from a visual standpoint. But yeah, for Memorial Day, start working on it right now, and don't delay. That's what I would say. It's not too late. Might be quick. Be ready for that, but it's not too late.
And direct mail needs to go first because the digital stuff can be done after.
Yeah, well, it's, with direct mail, you got to get the piece design, lock it in stone, right? What are the offers going to be? Lock that in stone. Get that queued up so that way, because you got with direct mail, you have this gap of timeline, basically. So you have this time, this gap of timeline where it's got to make it through the U.S. postal system. So you got to allot for that. With digital, once we get creative approved, we can usually launch those in 48 hours. Pretty simple, straightforward.
At Home Furniture and Mattress said, "Thank you, Joel. They enjoyed your answers." So we are at a place where we need to start wrapping it up, and that sucks for me because I have 10 more questions. But is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Oh man. This is stuff that I can talk about for hours on end. I enjoy it. It's trying to think of, honestly, Pete, a question that you didn't ask. I think you asked a lot of good questions, some great questions from the audience as well. And as far as really, where do you start? You got to start by being strictly straightforward, brutally honest with yourself. I think as a retailer, I think the biggest question is, where do I start for a retailer? Even ones that think they're established, you got to question everything. If you do not know what your customers really, if you say, hey, I think I know who my customers are, you already lost. It's got to be KNOW. You got to know. And so you get that information, it will change the direction of what you're even doing now, where you allocate budgets. I don't care if your budget's, $3,000 a month right now, or, $200,000 a month right now. If you're not asking those hard questions and reanalyzing and re-asking them, you're going to get trampled in the market.
Wow. Be brutally honest with yourself, Mr. and Mrs. Store Owner. Question everything. And you know what I loved about the link that you sent me that, Chris was playing with, that BrandRelay link? You basically use AI to help them figure out who their customer is. Yeah. And that is brilliant. I haven't seen anyone do that yet. So there's going to be a lot of firsts happening here, like every day for years and years and years.
Yeah. Well, and if people want to see where BrandRelay is, definitely come out to Vegas Market in July. We're up in the Specialty Sleep Association space. Tambra's at Dear Friend. There's a lot of good folks there, and it's like we're excited to show where we're taking this, what our roadmap is, because it's well beyond like what we believe and what we see is it's understanding who your customers are translates into every aspect of your business operation. It should drive how you do sales training. It should drive how you lay out your floor. All of that intelligence should be there. How you plan out your marketing, even if you think you got it planned out, right? But AI it's only going to be as good as the data you put in. So that's why the brutal honesty, because if you don't put in the brutal, honest truth of it, you won't get the brutal, honest answers that lead you to better door swings, higher revenues. And the longer you sit on your hands and think this is scary, well, you're already, just do it. Dive in, ask the hard questions.
So I have a hard question for you, Joel. Here's my hard question for you. Have you ever had a store owner call you wanting help, but not willing or able to answer the tough questions?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've had that. And we're more thorough about who we bring on now because of that. And I'm actually, there's some folks that have reached out to me through Mattress Industry Network, and I'm not pushing them becoming one of our customers. And the reason why is because they got to be able to listen. That's what they're hiring us to do. I tell my team always, it's like they're paying us to tell them what to do next. And we better have good, clean answers that are backed up with data, not just guesses. But as a retailer, if they're just not ready to implement, I hate to say it, but if they just got burned by the last agency, well, I don't hate to say it. That's not my problem. I'm not the other agency. That's why you're not working with them probably anymore. That's probably why you're talking to me. There's some retailers we've got to get them in, got to say, okay, hey, you don't like where you're at. Well, to get you away from where you're at, we got to change what you're doing. And so you got to be willing to change what you're doing and try things that even you don't believe work. Like, the one customer that says, I don't think direct mail works. Oh, well, hey, okay. Don't do direct mail. It's, by the way, transactions are $2,000 higher. Don't do it.
Minor detail.
Yeah. I understand. You don't want the money. Okay. So my team works, my whole team, our team, we're not just a small, I'm not working out of my home. I'm not working on my basement. We have a global team, around the world that work with clients. And our focus base is in the United States, but they work hard. I don't want to waste their time if the retailer's not ready.
Raven is digging your comment and made a comment of her own. Question everything? Yes. If you don't know your people and keep up with them, it won't work. Amen.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
I think she's talking about like her sales associates and stuff like that. Not just customers, but even your sales associates. Like I had one retailer. I'm not hesitant, by the way, to just simply say it the way it is. I realize it's going to come across gruff sometimes, but it's like I was helping one retailer, and they had a consumer call in for wondering if they carried water beds, and they didn't. And I get it. A waterbed customer is a different customer, etc. The reality is that person is still trying to solve a problem of sleep, comfort, whatever. But the retailer or the RSA just simply like, nope, we don't carry them. Thanks. Click. And I told the owner,
wrong.
I go, dude, you're spending thousands with us to drive traffic. That was traffic.
Yeah.
You got to have
it away.
Yeah. You could. Yeah. The RSA got upset because he overheard me, and I'm not apologetic about that.
No.
But it is training. Get with. There's so many great. Justin Trumbo, you mentioned, Uncle Munkle in the industry.
Love Uncle
Kanakovich, just
Brent Batterman.
Yes,
lots of wonderful training.
Yeah.
One
big
of the
shout out to
funniest,
Bedhead, because we collaborate with them. I do stuff they don't do, and they do stuff I don't do.
Yeah.
So
I was at a Dan Kennedy marketing event, and boy, he went off on a tangent about a customer that was complaining that they weren't getting enough leads. And when he dug into the leads, he found out that they weren't selling what they were being given. And, so those of you who say That salesman did the right thing. You're wrong. I'm going to tell you what should have been done differently. What should have been done differently is, oh, you're looking for a waterbed. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
What did you like about your old waterbed? Probably.
Yeah.
What do you have any aches and pains? Do you think the waterbed would help with that? Find out what it is. It's the same drill. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the same drill. When they ask for CERTA, do you just hang up because you don't carry CERTA? No, you don't. You ask them what they like about CERTA, because you probably have a feature and benefit that's identical to CERTA's feature and benefit. If they say, oh, well, I like the fact that it's a coolant cover, that's awesome. We have a nice variety of mattresses with coolant covers. When were you thinking of coming in, Mrs. Jones? Come on, guys.
There's your door swings.
Yeah. The basics, right?
Yeah. Well, and we had another retailer, and they were doing great at their main store, but their other store was just bombing. Guess what they found out? And this goes into Raven's question about know the people. I think if she was talking about if they were talking about sales associates, right?
Yeah.
They found out that the person that was running that store had taken the phone home and was not unlocking the store.
Lord have mercy.
Right. And so, oh yeah, no, things are just slow. The minute they fired him, got somebody there to actually open the door.
Did sales increase, Joel?
Yeah, sales increase. Now we can layer on top of that with marketing. So it's just, there's so many factors that go into this, for your business, for any business. And what we're talking about for retailers, I got to open my doors. I gotta answer my phone. I got to do the same thing.
Yep. 100%. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have an agency that's not digging deep into your business, I hate to be this brutal and this honest, but I'm 65 years old, and one of the privileges of age, they don't care about your business. I'm sorry. I don't give a crap how much money you're spending with them or how little. Don't give your money to people that don't care. People that care are going to ask you tough questions. They're going to make you feel uncomfortable sometime. And if they never ask you anything that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, they're not pushing hard enough. They're not pushing hard enough. The reason Joel asks some of these tough questions is because he cares about your business. And that was the short and long of my customers that mentioned to, unsolicited, by the way, Joel, about you and about how committed you are to their business and how deep you go into the business. So, Joel, someone's been watching this show. They want to get in touch with you. What's the best way?
Well, they can go to our website, firsttrackmarketing.com, or even brandrelay.ai, and they can reach out to us, or they can just text me. Text me at 402-403-6232. And we'll book a time on the calendar. We'll have a conversation. We'll dive into it. To keep it real simple. There we go. Yeah. 402-403-6232. Just text me. Hey, I want to talk. And, I'll send you a link. We can get it on a calendar, learn more about you, and see how we can help. And if I can help with just a 15-minute conversation and that helps you, fantastic. If you're like, hey, I don't want to do this for myself, that's where our team comes in. So we're trusted by a lot of different folks in the space, all the way from the FAM to SSA to a number of other manufacturers are our clients as well, and a lot of retailers. The numbers just growing, which I'm excited about.
Joel, I'm looking forward to Vegas Market and seeing you there. All my friends at High Point Market, finish up strong. Everybody reach out to Joel if you have marketing needs that are unmet. Reach out to Joel. He will help you. He cares. And I want to thank Anthony Campos, David Grange, At Home Furniture and Mattress, and Raven for your questions. Joel, thanks for being here, brother.
You betcha. Anytime.
Take
Happy
care.
to help.